everyone. Welcome to Set Schedule's Meet the Agent podcast. I'm Yvonne, part of the media and content team at Set Schedule, and I'm excited to welcome you back to another episode of Meet the Agent. In this series, I will be connecting with real estate agents across the country to get some insight into the triumphs and challenges of the industry, as well as get some strategies for success straight from the agents who do it best. Well, thank you for tuning in today. And as always, if you have any feedback or suggestions, you can send an email to media@setschedule.com. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. So today I am joined by Celeste Purdie, who is an expert agent based out of South Carolina. Thank you for being here, Celeste. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me today.
Of course, I'm excited to have you here to talk about your experience as an agent and how your background in HR has helped you better serve your clients. To start, can you just give me a little bit of background about your professional history and how you got into the real estate industry?
Absolutely. So Yvonne, my background is 25 years in corporate HR. So I worked for some very large companies. I was with Verizon for 12 years. Prior to getting into HR, I actually served in the military as well. So I was in the United States Air Force, and I was honored enough to serve overseas the entire time. So I've had experiences in a lot of different communities, which has been helpful in real estate as well. But I actually grew up in upstate New York, and I'm relocated to South Carolina. So I have a lot of value that I can offer to potential home buyers because of the fact that I've relocated, and there's a ton of people relocating right now to South Carolina. It's one of the number one destination states right now. But I've relocated. I've been in HR, so I know so many HR professionals in the Greenville area. And so that's really helpful as well. And then, my military background, I love serving and helping heroes. So that has been another really value add that I can add to my clients.
Just want to pivot a little bit here. So I know that you had 25 years of background in corporate HR, as well as being a part of the military. What, skill sets from those previous positions did you find most helpful in transitioning into being an entrepreneur?
I've always had a passion for real estate. I have been an investor for many years. Actually, when I relocated to the Greenville area from Charleston, I had my first experience with my own rental home in Charleston. So I've always had an interest in, real estate. And then when we moved to the Greenville area, we purchased our house that we live in, but we also purchased another investment property. So probably at the end of 2016, I had somewhat of a near-death experience. And I realized that I no longer really wanted to, work for somebody else for the better part of my life, that I really wanted to be in business for myself. And so I really wanted to find something that could give me some time freedom, number one, but was also something that would give me a ton of joy doing, even if I didn't get paid doing it. And so real estate was perfect.
So how did you find it transitioning from an organization that had the structure and the day-to-day responsibilities into being a real estate agent where essentially you are your own boss and you are responsible for driving that business forward?
Well, I think some of the skill sets that I had really started from the time that I was in the military. So I had really good work ethic. I had really good organizational and communication skills. And so those things were things that allowed me to have a ton of success in the corporate space. And so I knew that if I could be really successful in the corporate space, I could also be very successful on my own if I stuck to those skills that I knew created success. And some of those skills that created success for me were planning my week before the week began, planning my day before the day began, doing those little small tasks that most people did to get successful. And then a lot of people stopped doing them when they got success. I continue doing those small things. I like to just say they're those little tiny slight edge tasks that allow me to continue to be successful. So those are really the three main things, planning my week before the week begins, planning my month before the month begins, planning my day, using block scheduling so that I could be available for my clients, and then using really great communication skills.
Oh, perfect. So I know that you said real estate brings you a lot of joy. What is it that I guess drives you to stay in this industry?
I love helping people. So my entire background, being in the military, I love service, and I've always loved service. Even when I was in HR, I loved counseling and helping people kind of plan their careers or kind of their strategy for life. And I think real estate allows me that same joy. I love to be able to help people see the bigger picture, educate them on the home buying or selling process, walking them through how they can start creating wealth for themselves, just like in HR, where I was, helping people maximize their career so that they could make the income that they wanted. Same thing in real estate, helping people understand the process and how they could start generating wealth for themselves and leave a legacy for their children. That gives me such satisfaction. And I love just the expressions of, joy that I see from the clients that I help. If I can save them a couple of $1,000s, if I can get a home buyer in a home with equity at the closing table, that brings me joy. I'll tell you a funny story. I was actually at a new construction site today with a client that's building, and we had our first project meeting. And my clients bought their home right at the Christmas time season. I've been hearing how new construction prices were going to start climbing. And so I really urged this client to, try to make a decision before the end of the year. And so at our project meeting today, they found out that all of the homes were had increased at about $10,000 to $15,000. And so because they signed last year, when they hit the closing table, they're going to immediately have $11,000 in equity. That brings me a lot of joy.
That must be so fulfilling. I can't imagine what it must feel like to be able to help your clients realize their home buying dreams. Conversely, what are some challenges that you have faced in this industry that you may not have expected?
Well, I think one of the things I didn't expect was that there would be such a shortage of inventory. When I got started in 2016, there was so much inventory on the table, and I could see in my community that, there were a lot of builders building new homes. But I did not anticipate that there would be such a shortage, 4 years later of inventory to be able to help buyers. And then with the pandemic on top of that, builders were slowing down construction, the cost of materials skyrocketed. And what was affordable, like a new home build under $250,000, now you're seeing a lot of those new build homes above $250,000. And with that shortage of inventory, what I learned was that there was going to be situations where so many of those first-time home buyers were going to be in multiple offer situations. And, just quite frankly, I just did not anticipate that when I started in this business, because I just saw that there were so many homes for people to buy, but 4 years later, not so many.
Yeah, so like you said, homes are just going off the market so fast. How do you prepare your clients to make an offer and to move quickly once you put in the offer and you have to close before someone else beats you to it?
One of the things that I try to do is I love communicating on the front end with my clients and really kind of setting expectations so that they know that as a first-time home buyer with a certain budget to buy that first dream home, is that although they may have a list of 100 things that are yeses that they want in that home, they also have to, realize that they may not necessarily have all of those things in their first home. And so it's important for them to be decisive. It's important for them to know that, although you don't have granite countertops in your bathroom, you can always do that 2 years down the road. And I have a whole list of really great contractors that you can work with. So I definitely do encourage them to be decisive and also to come to the table with their best offer on the front end versus, thinking that they're going to negotiate. So I think knowing the industry, knowing your marketplace, knowing, the number of homes that are coming on the market every day does help, because if you are an educated agent, you can use that same education to help your clients make decisions faster. And so I think that's one of the things that I've been successful doing, is really helping people, do their research on the front end. I'm providing them data and information before we even go in the house. And so a lot of times they're able to make that decision really quickly because they already have the information that they need to make the decision.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's really all about managing your expectations. Going into this pandemic and having this industry go virtual, are there any strategies or tools that you have found helpful in navigating that change?
I have found that the virtual showings are really helpful. As I've mentioned, that there are a lot of people that are relocating. And, quite frankly, I've had a couple of situations where I've sold a listing and the person that was buying the property never even set foot into the house. Their agent did a virtual showing. I work with several buyers that are investors, and there are a lot of people investing in this area right now too. And so I've done a lot of virtual showings. I'll go in and Zoom technology. 5 years ago, a lot of people didn't know what Zoom was, but today we have buyers that are, more comfortable using technology, which is to our advantage because, if I could do a Zoom showing, I could get a showing done in a real quick time, and they can feel like they're in the house, but not actually step foot in the house, which does allow us to sometimes show a house before the mad rush of people showing houses at 5 o'clock. I could go and show a house early in the morning, and we can get a decision made and an offer put in quickly.
Oh, nice. Because there are so many people relocating, have there been any trends that you've noticed recently? And are there any that you think are going to last past this pandemic?
Well, what I know, and it's really because of, excuse me, my background in HR, is that because so many people are now working from home, they have the ability to work from home from anywhere. And so I think that is one of the things that is also driving relocation. But what's so special about the Greenville area is we are so close to so many things. We've got a international airport. We've got industry that's here. We've got access to lakes and quick access to a beach, quick access to mountains. And so many people are moving here. But I think people are also now looking for the home that will meet their needs for working from home. So they're looking for designated spaces that could be offices. So they're looking for homes that have more bedrooms than 3. They're looking for homes that have a space for working out if they, want to have a home gym. And so I'm seeing some of those trends where, in the past, people just wanted 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. People are now looking for that 4th bedroom to be a home office, or they're looking for those homes that had the traditional floor plan of a distinct dining room where they can use that distinct dining room for an office space. So I'm seeing a lot of that. I'm also seeing a lot more interest in some of those Jack and Jill bedrooms for younger children to be able to share a bathroom. So I'm seeing that. And I'm definitely seeing a lot more people that are interested in properties that are in HOA neighborhoods. So people are willing to be a little bit further from, the urban centers and more open to some of the surrounding communities in the Greenville area. We have some really amazing communities that are, 15 minutes from Greenville. But now that people can work from home, that's not such a big deal to them. So we are seeing a lot more interest in some of our more rural communities.
So I know you mentioned that one of the trends that you noticed with people relocating throughout this pandemic is that they are looking for a space for a work from home office and things of that nature. Do you think this trend is going to stick past the pandemic where, once this pandemic is over, people are going to have to go back into the office? Do you think that trend is going to stay?
I do, because I do feel like people are not only working from home, but there's more and more people that are also having home-based businesses. So I'm seeing a lot of people that use that space for home-based businesses, use that space for crafts for their family, use that space for home education, for homeschooling kids. So I definitely feel like people are looking for that space that is designated for office space or family space versus like a living room or a den.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. My main concern was that people are moving out of the city and not really considering that at some point in time, you're going to have to come back into the office. I guess I just want to pivot a little bit and switch gears here and talk a little bit more about your experience specifically in the real estate industry. So when you transitioned over from HR and with your background in the military, what kind of skills and what kind of skill set did you find to be the most helpful in the transition itself?
Well, I think it was generally liking people. So I've always been, a people-focused person. I like to get to know people. I like to ask questions. I like to find out what their motivation is or their things that motivate them. So generally liking people, I think, is really helpful in being in real estate, because you do got to engage in conversation to get people to really tell you what they want and what they don't want. And also being able to coach people has been really helpful. So, I like to say, if you're going to work with me, I've got some expectations and some non-negotiables. Like, I am not going to go out and show you more than 5 houses in a day, because I know from my experience that they all start blending together. And I know that I'm also going to, if you're going to work with me, I'm going to ask that you allow me to coach you. So, for example, Yvonne, if I have a buyer that I'm working with and they say they want, to stay under 275,000, and I'm sending them houses in the 275,000 and below range, and all of a sudden they send me a house that's 350,000, and I know they're qualified to buy that $350,000 house, but we have set all of our expectations and all of our planning around 275 and below. Before I show you that house for 350,000, believe me and my buyer are going to have a conversation about holding each other accountable for what they're looking for and for what they want. And I think my HR experience in coaching has allowed me to be really successful in doing that, where I've seen other agents just kind of, go at the whim of their buyers and, shift gears and shift focus. I like to stay really focused with my buyers, and I think my coaching allows me to do that.
Oh, perfect. I really like that approach, because I do know the home buying process can be a little bit overwhelming, especially if you're a first-time buyer. So I do really like that your approach is very focused and very efficient at the end of the day. So when you're, so you mentioned the coaching part, so you act as a coach to your clients. I'm just wondering, do you have a coach or a mentor yourself in the industry? And is this something that you would recommend to other agents?
Well, that's a great question. I will tell you, I don't have a specific coach, but I did search for a broker that I knew was one that would invest in me and one that would teach me. So I actually, interviewed my broker 3 times before I decided to hang my license at, the agency that I'm at. And I think that is important for people. I think sometimes, new realtors get into the industry and they just go wherever, well, I've heard this agency gives a lot of training, or I heard this agency, gives a lot of leads. But at the end of the day, if you're going to really be successful, you've got to have a really good relationship with somebody that you can go and ask questions to, somebody that you can bounce ideas off of, somebody that can help you walk through, kind of a sticky situation. So I wouldn't say I have a defined mentor, but my broker absolutely serves as that coach for me. He took a risk on me coming into the industry with no experience, and within my first year, I was, the rookie agent of the year. And ever since, I've, been a top producer. And it's really because I've been open to coaching, and I'm open to asking questions about what I know that I don't know in real estate.
Oh, perfect. So are you working with a team of other agents currently?
I am, yes. I actually work on the dream team here in Greenville. And it's really, me and another full-time agent, and then we have a part-time agent. And the agency that I'm with actually opened up a location for us in Simpsonville, closer to our homes. And so we're really focused on, being the best real estate team in this area, in upstate Greenville, in the Simpsonville area.
What are the benefits of working on a team versus working as a solo agent?
Well, I actually started in real estate and I worked solo. So I was independent, a solo agent, but I love to travel. And I know with the pandemic, we really can't travel right now, but when I started almost 4 years ago, I was traveling. I'd gone to South Africa, I'd gone to Germany, and I'd gone to the Dominican Republic. And I always found that when I was out of the country, I sold a house. And that was stressful, being on vacation, selling a house. And so I quickly realized that if I wanted to continue doing all those things that I love, that I needed to be a part of a team, because when you're a part of a team, if you have something going on, you have somebody else that can, pick up where you left off and have a seamless presentation to your clients. And so that was really kind of my catalyst for being on a team. One, we could learn from each other. Two, we could share best practices. Three, we could cover for each other. And quite frankly, I do think it's an advantage when you're going to a listing appointment and you're talking to a prospective seller and you say, you know what, when you hire me, not only do you get, me, but you get the value of my entire team. And the same thing for a buyer. Not only do you hire me, but you get the advantage of my entire team. We're in the MLS every day, and I can share with my team members what it is that you're looking for. And you have 3 eyes or 4 eyes on 4 sets of eyes on what you're looking for versus just one really busy agent.
Yes, the teamwork really makes the dream work in this case. I love that. So as I guess your team or yourself, what is the most creative thing that you've done for a client?
Oh, gosh, that's a great question. Well, I think I can talk about a client that I just recently had. It was over the holidays, and they were actually a client that I had sold a house to probably about 2.5 years ago, and they were ready to upgrade to their next house. So they were the ideal client that I told you, that they found a house. It wasn't their dream house, but they wanted to be a first-time home buyer, and they had expectations that eventually they would have to move and find that new house. They didn't have a big budget the first time, but now that they had solid work history, they had a bigger budget. And so they hired me to sell their first house and buy a new house. And the new house they decided to buy was a house that was being constructed from the ground up. And so timelines, of course, were not consistent. But what I did consider my expertise was in managing the sale of a house and the buying of the house to make it a seamless process without, you being homeless. And so what I had to do real creatively with this client is that unfortunately the new home was not going to be ready at the time of the sale of the other home. So we got to being creative. As realtors, we always give closing gifts to our buyers, or gifts here and there. So I made it simple for her. I took the stress out of it. I found a place where they could store their belongings. I found a real nice, inexpensive hotel for them. I called around and I got the lender to give them a credit, for the inconvenience of the week. So I always go above and beyond and try to do even more than my clients are expecting. And I don't think she expected me to take her stress and make it my stress so that she could have a stress-free holiday, and that I could, make calls for her on her behalf and, really make the magic happen.
Wow, that must have been so appreciated. I know just in general, the process can be so overwhelming. And if you're faced with the possibility of being homeless for a week, that sounds like such a great thing to do. So my last question for you is there anything that you do that you feel is unique for yourself? Like anything that you do for your clients that is specific to you as an agent?
Well, I do feel like one of the things that I do a little bit different than other agents is that, I don't view any of my clients as transactional. I really do develop relationships with them. And I feel like because I do develop those relationships with them, I have a lot of referrals that come back to me. And so, at the end of the day, I'm really trying to help and be a tool and a resource for my clients beyond the closing day. So an example, I belong in a neighborhood community. and I've helped some people in my neighborhood community, but I'm not just the realtor that, you call when it's time to buy or sell a house. I'm the realtor that you call when it's, springtime and you're looking for a project to get completed, a deck to be installed. I want to be that resource that can provide you with some trusted contractors that I use. I want to be that realtor that, when you finish that project and you feel like you're fully moved into your house, that I'm the person that you would call to come over and to take some before and after pictures for you to help you celebrate, kind of that 1 year milestone. I always tell my clients, especially my buyer clients, I give them a closing gift, but I say, once you get fully moved in, I want to bring the bottle of wine and I want to come over and, celebrate with you because I know what you've gone through on your journey to get into this home. So I think that's a little bit different. I've met realtors that are, really just transactional, and I've never, considered being transactional in real estate. It's really about developing those relationships. And, I like to say all my clients are my friends.
And for any prospective clients who might be listening, is there anything that you would like for them to know?
I just think one of the things that, I would like people to know is that I like to help everybody. So there are agents out there that, only serve, certain communities or only help people buy luxury homes. I have helped clients from first-time home buyer buying an investment property for $32,000 all the way up to $750,000. And I have a wide range of clients that I've helped, but I think my unique background has been really helpful and given people added value. So not only are they getting to do a real estate transaction with me, but they're also, getting access to all of those other skills that I bring to the table that allow them to be really successful. I think sometimes my creative approach to real estate allows us to win some of those initial multiple offer situations. I can think creative. I can help you, kind of brainstorm and think of different options to be prepared for. And I think, my HR background has been really, really, really helpful in doing that.
Well, thank you so much, Celeste, for being here. This has been such a great conversation, and I'm really glad that we were able to have you as a guest on our podcast. As for our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this content and would like more like it, please head over to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/setschedule. And if you want to connect with us on social media, our handle is @setschedule on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And as always, we welcome any feedback and suggestions. So please send us an email to media@setschedule.com. But that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in.